So, you want to use GCam, but don't know how to install it. It may look like something that is very hard to do, but in fact is quite simple for most compatible phones out there. To keep things simple, I will divide the process into 4 steps. Download the app, install the app, download a config file, and then load that config file. These last 2 steps are not always needed, but I'll show you how to use config files anyway just in case you need to use one. I'll start by downloading the Apk file. In case you don't know, Apk is the format used by Android apps. You often don't see this anywhere because we install apps via the Play Store, which hides the technical side of things, but this is a community-modified app, so we have to sideload the Apk, or in other words, manually install the app. There's a link below with information on how to find a good version for your phone. In this case, I'll go to the Suggested Versions page. This page lists versions that are known to work on lots of phones. I'll download the first suggestion here. This is Google Camera 7.3. And I'll try the first one from Ernix 05. I'll click here to start the download and wait. While this downloads, let's talk about configuration files. Many versions and phones don't need config files, but this version supports this functionality, so I'll show you how to use a config file too. Let's follow the link to the configs page. You should always try GCam without a config file first, because sometimes configs create some issues, and if you're happy with the default quality, then there's no need to try config files. For this example, let's see if there's a config for my OnePlus Nord, and yes, there's one, so I'll download the first one. Now I will use a file manager app. Some phones already come with the file manager installed. If your device doesn't have one, open the Play Store and install one of the many apps available. Downloads are stored in the Downloads folder. As you can see, the Apk file and the config file are here. Let's start by installing the Apk. Just click on it to open. I should note that some phones will warn you about the dangers of installing apps outside the Play Store. Depending on the phone you have, you may have to allow the file manager to initiate app installations, but in my case I just have to click on Continue. Now click on Install and wait. Okay, as you can see, the app is installed. I'll go back, and yes, the app is here. Now I will open the modded Google Camera app for the first time, give it permissions to access the camera, microphone, storage, and location if you want to add location information to each picture. As you can see, this specific version works well on my phone, no crashes or weird issues. And essentially, GCam is ready to be used. You can disable things like motion photos. Go into the settings and disable sounds. Maybe enable the HDR control so we can use the superior HDR enhanced, the extra cameras on the phone, and so on. Very easy so far. Now, while we can do this manually, there are some config files created by normal users like you and me that can load or import good settings for our phone. I already downloaded a config file, so now I'll go back to the File Manager app and we need to create 2 folders here. In the root of your storage, or the DCIM, Downloads, and Music folders are. Create a new folder called GCam. Capital G, capital C, and lowercase a and m. Now inside this folder, we'll create another one. Since I downloaded GCam 7, the name of the folder needs to be Configs 7, without spaces or capital letters. If it was an older version, like GCam 6, the folder name would be Configs only, without a 7. I'll leave a link to a page that is kept up to date as new versions come out so you know it's the correct folder name. So, now we have a new folder called GCam and inside we have another folder called Configs 7. I'll go to the Downloads folder and move the config file to this Configs 7 folder. Let's check if it's there. And everything appears to be correct. If you want to add more configs for this version, add them to this folder. Now I'll open Google Camera again. At this point GCam is still using the previous settings. To load a config, double-click on the dark area around the Shutter/Capture button. This menu will pop up and as you can see, the config file we moved to the Configs 7 folder is here. Select the config if you have more than one, click on Restore, and GCam will restart to apply the new settings. As you can see, the config file enabled the extra camera buttons and other stuff too. And that's how you load a config file. In case you want to go back to the default settings for some reason, simply clean the app data, or remove, and then install the APK file again. And that's it. As you can see, most people can do all this in just a few minutes. I hope this was useful. Enjoy your detailed photos. Bye.